It takes a fuck ton of courage to wake up to the trance and see it and then choose a different course, because it's not authentic living if we're living by the cultural trance or rules of how you should be. And so it takes a fuck ton of courage to be like, I see those rules, I say bullshit, I say what's real and true for me, how do I want to live my life, what does success look like for me? So it's courage to leave the stream.
Welcome to another episode of Hello Me, Unapologetically Authentic, with your hosts Christine Siona and Michelle Lyle.
It was pretty cool, coinky dink, that you actually have the word unapologetic in some of your upcoming programs. So we're going to chat about that, but rewind.
Okay.
So glad to meet you for the first
You
time.
too.
Miss Megan. Now tell me if I'm saying your last name at Walrod.
Walrod? Yep.
Walrod. You're like a rod in the wall.
Exactly.
Holding up the building.
Exactly. Very German.
Very good.
Yeah.
Was ist das? Das ist eine Walrod. Very good. I took German in grade 10 just because I had a
That was
crush.
impressive. Because you had
Well,
a
I
crush.
had a crush on a person that happened to take German, so that's the only reason I took German.
Yeah.
Went nowhere.
I've never made a choice like that.
Anyway, so hi. Welcome.
Hi.
And I would just love for you to tell people a little bit about like where you are in the world. What
Portland, Oregon.
you're celebrating today, and what excites you about being here. And then we'll get the party started.
Okay. Portland, Oregon. It's freaking gorgeous here. If you've never been in the Pacific Northwest, it's like I just went for a hike the other afternoon, and just the green moss on the trees, it's like neon green, and it's just so alive and so vivid. Excuse me. And what's bringing me joy and spark today is I love being on these kinds of conversations, because I know there are so many gifts when we're having these just real sharing stories, sharing the journey. There's so much gold in that. So it just feels like a real gift that I get to be sharing, and two beings that I get to be receiving from in the conversation. Like that juices me up.
One of the questions we ask everybody is about the ingredients for everyone individually to step into being unapologetically authentic. And Michelle and I just had a conversation about this last week of like, how do you know, man? Like authenticity is just like the word everyone's talking about. How do we know? Like how, where are people at to be able to figure out those ingredients for themselves where they're fully unapologetically authentic? And for everyone, there might be different ingredients, but we're really curious about those overlaps of what might cross over no matter who or where or what people are doing. And so you said your ingredient, and there's probably way more than 3, but courage, passion, and adventurous. So in those ingredients, can you elaborate a little bit about that? Like, what is it about courage, and what is it about passion and this adventurous energy that contributes to being unapologetically authentic?
I love that. Yeah. Let's dive in. Yeah.
Bomb. Let's go.
Yeah. So, I mean, you all have grown up in this reality, right? Where it's like there's all this taming to people please and to do what your mom said, do what your dad said, do what the teacher says, because they know better than you. So we're taught this set of rules of how to be in the world. And so like the taming, right, of cultural conditioning. And so it takes a fuck ton. Is it okay to say fuck? It takes a fuck ton of courage to wake up to the trance and see it and then choose a different course, because it's not authentic living if we're living by the cultural trance or rules of how you should be. And so it takes a fuck ton of courage to be like, I see those rules. I say bullshit. I say, what's real and true for me? How do I want to live my life? What does success look like for me? So it's courage to leave the stream, like not drink the Kool-Aid anymore and go our own way. Cause then we all end up being these pioneers, right? Like, I haven't seen anyone else doing this, choosing this, being this. So courage and all of this to me is an adventure. I mean, we were talking before we press record of like creating and this, these conversations evolved and we've evolved since, the last time we spoke, let alone since before breakfast this morning. And so this adventurous spirit for me was necessary to get out of the victim mentality of like, why me? And why is all this happening to me? So really embracing that spirit of adventure was like, oh, I get to be in the driver's seat. Now, where do I want to go? What's next? So that's the adventure. And the passion for me, I just have so much fire and energy and passion for like living life. I've heard it described as like wholeheartedly. It's just like life is gone like that. And so I want to just like, and I'm a hedonist. So there's just like, I want to devour it and live it. And I heard you both talking about this in another podcast episode of like, there's that authentic living that's like, what is my soul here to share and come forth and shine? So for me, the passion is both about my own passion for life, like what's important for me to share in this lifetime, that I used to see it as, how can I be of service? And I've really gotten through my journey with perimenopause and menopause over the last several years and turning 50 last year, that it's like, this is of service to me. Like I'm here this lifetime to be a fucking big mouth, big heart, say a lot of things that hopefully will change women's lives for the better and help them find their authentic living. And it's for me first, right? Like I'm on this curriculum to learn these things. So the passion, you can hear that of like being on fire with life, of like, what am I here to be and do? I'm choosing that. I'm being that. Let's go. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's really interesting. I was just on a call with another client today, and this idea of being of service and that courage you're talking about, the getting out of the stream. I'd love to know that moment where you knew you were getting out of the stream. I'd love to know that moment. Get to that in a second. And with this client, what was resonating in what you were saying was this, like, being of service, being a contribution. And I remember I asked her, I said, well, what if you are actually an expert? I don't know if you've ever found this. What if you've ever found this, Megan, of people going, well, I'm not an expert. It's like, this is just me and my little opinion. I'm not an expert. Like, I don't have those credentials or da, 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 da. I'm like, well, actually, wait a minute. You're an expert of you. Like, you're the only one who's the expert of you.
Yeah.
So there's this weird thing that I think ties into being authentic, is this stream of crap that we find ourselves in, of like, I'm actually not the expert. I'm going to be of service to everyone else kind of thing. But instead of like owning and naming and claiming what you're talking about, I'm here for me. I'm the expert of me. And what if you being the expert of you, when you let other people see that, actually changes the planet? So I get curious about that. If you're here of service to you, and yes, you tapped into courage, you're on this adventure, you've got this amazing passion. How are you being the expert of you in moving that authenticity of the expert of you forward?
There's so many things flashing right now.
I know. Good luck. If you could follow my brain, good luck. Yes.
Take one and run with it, and we'll just go and see where that goes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, oh my gosh, there's so many things. It's like, Can you ask that again?
Yeah.
In whatever way wants to come to you now.
Exactly. So you talked about being of service to you,
Yes. Okay.
right? You're
I'm
in
in.
this planet, you're of service to you. You're here for like, I'm here for
Right.
me. If I'm
Right.
the expert of me,
Right.
how does me being the expert of me
Totally.
help me move my life forward?
Totally.
And how are you doing that? How are you the expert of you?
Totally.
What's going on?
Yeah. And how, okay, thank you. That was connecting the dot that I was required. So my interesting point of view is that we have been bought this story that it's the superior thing to do to be of service in the world. And so many of us business owners and entrepreneurs go into the service industry because we fucking want to contribute to the world. We want to share our gifts with others. And so it's like this mishmash of what I sense is this true, authentic, primal nature of knowing we're all part of this community. And we're only actually going to evolve where we can go if we're each sharing our gifts, and how those gifts look are different. So there is this like primal innate drive for that. And yet it gets kind of mucky with the people pleasing conditioning of like, oh, I'm here to serve you. What do you need? Because then I will be okay. And then it's connected. I mean, it's so connected to like trauma and abuse of like, I can only be safe. I can only know that I'm going to be okay if my mom is happy and if my dad is calm. Because when he's angry and she's sad, I'm not okay. So what can I be for them? Like it starts then, and then it's like, okay, business, how can I serve? And then there's the overgiving and the people pleasing, and women primarily is who my audience is and who I've worked with. And we have the propensity to be socialized to overgive, undervalue, people please. And so when we're in that training or taming and serving from that place, that's not authentic and it's super life draining, right? So going, connecting that to expert of self, this whole thing about perimenopause, menopause, my turning 50, the awareness of like, oh shit, as I evolve into offering more of my next gifts to the world, which is departing from this world that I've been in for 15 years of marketing, coaching, business, copywriting, and carrying forward the work that I've been doing with women. That's all about breaking free of the bullshit. What's true for you? What's unapologetic? All of that. I call it brave living. It's like, I got to take my medicine all the more that I'm offering out to the world, while seeing more and more how the way that I've been an expert with me facilitating myself out of the bullshit, and into my strength and gift and magic. When I slow that down and look at it, I realize, oh my God, that's how I'm helping my clients. That's how I can help women see I flipped out of looking at this way into looking at it this way. That saved me. That made a difference in my world. Maybe it will make a difference in your world too. So it's not trying to be, and I'll just add this other layer, and then I'm curious what you're going to say in response. Recently I've been shifting out of leader expert. I know something about this. You want to come and pay me lots of money because I'm an expert in how to do to help you have And there's a lot of training in the coaching industry, especially of like position yourself as the expert. Like no one's going to come to you unless you're an expert. I'm recognizing I'm like leader midwife. I'm midwifing this new body of work into the world that they're calling themselves the 4 archetypes of the wild feminine. And I can't do it on my own because they want to be shared. Their medicine wants to be shared through me with other women. And it's only through engaging other women with these conversations and these archetypes and sharing these practices and being with each other over a period of time that it's like, what do you know about the wise woman? What do you know about the wild child? And it's like we're helping each other midwife more of us by recognizing, yeah, I'm an expert on me. Yeah, I'm fucking in this too. I'm midwifing this. Come play. Let's see how this contributes to you and your authentic, unapologetic living. And there's a relief in letting go of I'm the expert. There's just such a sense of like even more authenticity, because there's something about expert that separates. And yeah, I'm seeing all of your like, yeah, that's what I want to hear.
I totally want Michelle to jump in. I also want to just say I love the reframing. And thank you for that of expert. And you're right. And it's a very male pants on penis vibe. I'm the expert. And so what's the and not for me, just tapping into that language you talked about in the beginning of the ingredients to living authentically, and being unapologetically you, is this courage to see the difference and then to take an action, right? Like, because we can see that we're in the stream, we can see that we've been drinking Kool-Aid, we can see that this isn't working for me, or I am an expert, but what expert am I? Or I do know something, but what is this that I know? But then to like step out of the water and take an action somewhere to a different landscape, so that you can see if this landscape works for you, or if this works for you, and to land in what you know. And I love, like, what do women know about being like authentically aligned with the expert wisdom in themselves, so they can, we can redefine what expert means in the feminine power that contributes not just to me, but to all. And there's circle energy in that. So everyone that comes together is is a contributive force of leveling up everyone to a greater resonance of their own innate inner wisdom.
Yes. Can I jump in there? Is that
Boom,
okay,
chakalaka.
Michelle?
I'm gonna eat my pen now.
Eat it. All right, this is a theme. I love that you said circle energy, because this is bringing something that I've been exploring. There's been this theme of celebrity energy. I recently got on TikTok, like the last couple months, and I'm just having so much fun creating different kind of videos. And it's like it's like a blank slate platform where I get to bring forth all of this message stories that I've been wanting to share. And it's a place where nobody knows me there from my past. In some ways it's like this whole new, hello me, here am I in this way, and so I'm having so much fun. And so I'm just fascinated by this thing of like celebrity energy that I've been hearing folks talking about. And when I think about celebrity energy, I mean, there's all different things, but then I think about Marilyn Monroe, who was known to be able to like turn on the switch. And that to me was like a feminine magnetism, like an animal magnetism. There was that. And then there's what you're describing, this circle energy, which feels so different from celebrity energy. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing that, because it just feels like there is something very, very different. And I just get excited to play with that, because there's something about celebrity energy that has made it seem like that's the way to be. How do you turn on your celebrity energy? But circle energy is a whole different kind of like, how can my light spark the others that are here to light up and find each other?
Yeah, you're right on it with the light, because when a celebrity, it's like spotlight's on you.
Yeah.
Right? Spotlight's on you and no one else.
Yeah.
And now we're on camera too. Now spotlight's on you. Whereas circle energy is infinite light source. Everyone is lit up, even if they're in the back row.
Yeah.
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 Beautiful.
And do you know Michael Franti? Is Spearhead Music. I love his live shows, because for so many reasons, I love his music, and he has this gift he has the circle energy. He has I'm going to get down into the audience and walk barefoot and play and sing. And he moves all throughout the audience. and then stands in the middle up on a platform and then goes back up on stage, invites kids up at one point, comes down into the pit where we're all dancing at some point. Like, he has that gift of opening all the hearts and connecting us together, and knowing that that's creating something more for all of us. That's not just about, we're here to see you. We are, but you know what I'm saying? There's like, he weaves us together, and that's that circle energy. Oh, yeah.
I
That's gorgeous.
I love this conversation for so many different reasons, and I have like, it's like this over here and this over here. So I'm gonna stay with this thread of this circle energy, and I want to even call it inclusive energy. We live in a society that is duality and either or and me or you and exclusionary. Sometimes in society, when we're focused working with men or we're focused working with women, that's also like, you're over there and you're over here. And inclusionary energy isn't just the circle where men sometimes don't feel included, but it's all of us. Like, we're on this planet, which some might say it's not a circle, but we're on this planet and we are all included, but we just have been taught to exclude. And I believe that as a collective, we're moving into an inclusionary all around energy. But the thing that jumped out way back that lit me up so much is that midwife leadership, the midwife of leadership. I love that so much. And I'm noticing that showing up in my life and how I am contributing to people. And I didn't have a name for it. And that's just brilliant, because that's really what's happening. It's less about, I know something, you're going to pay me a bunch of money for it, like it used to be in the past. And it's more like, I'm showing up saying, what can I contribute to this moment of what you're asking for? And then I contribute whatever that is. And it's not always one-to-one what we thought we were getting on a conversation or a meeting about. And it's almost like that midwife thing. Like, I'm showing up to help you birth a baby, but we don't know how long it's going to take. And we don't know what complications are going to come about. We're just going to go with the flow and have this beautiful experience together, which is, so awesome. So thank you for that phrase. That's brilliant. I hope you're using that in whatever it is that you're creating.
Well, I've used, thank you. And two things. One, I remember using that expression before, that it really is a midwifing, because even when I was coaching and coach women, it's still like, I know what I know. What do you know? Like, it's so there's a midwife in what you know. And I also want to acknowledge one of my coaches, Crystal Crawford, recently was reflecting this to me, of the leader expert, leader midwife. So I want to give credit to, that's where I heard it, and it resonated as so much truth, that it just, again, there's like this relief when you hear something and words have energies and they land. It's like, oh, yes, thank you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was recently, we've all heard for too long now about the mastermind, the master class, the mastermind, right?
Yeah.
And then I heard somebody say master heart, and I was like, what? And then I thought master soul. Like, it's like there's a mastery in humanness and living and this human experience that we're walking, and a mastery in like who we're becoming. But when I heard master heart, it softened something, and it made it just so glorious and warm and inviting. And then I was like, master soul, like that just feels like awakening, like this big light just comes out and shines out into the world. And it just really, really beautiful. And the energy that you're bringing to this conversation and the table, and what I see what you're doing online, it's powerful and potent and really soft and kind at the same time. It's just gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm two things I want to speak to in response to all of that. That's so gorgeous. The master soul, the softening. I wrote about this recently, where I'm seeing something in what you're speaking to. This, I called it the tumbled and humbled phenomenon, where I've just been seeing this with so many women that I've been connecting with, this sense of like, oh, I've been going through the ringer and I'm humbled and I'm softened by it. And that's also paralleled for a lot of these women, perimenopause and menopause. And I just can perceive this. We've been, again, taught that strong looks like the masculine strong, of like, got the muscles, can lift the weights, can tolerate anything. And excuse me, in my own journey of the tumbled and humbled, there's a softening and a recognizing how much strength we have in that softening, in that willingness to acknowledge, I might not be the expert, yet I'm gonna fucking hang with you and explore this with you and be willing to be brave in the explorations. Yeah, just so much, and appreciating the discovery of strength in the softness. Yeah.
It comes back to, that key ingredient you were talking about to, be unapologetically authentic, is courage. And perhaps that's the first ingredient. Like, am I willing to actually look within myself to find myself? And, that's where this hello me idea came from. It's like, hey, well, wait a minute. Hello me. Like, I gotta what the hell is going on? Where am I?
Yeah.
But the courage to do that. And then my question is, in this energy of all that we're speaking of, and this, woman, feminine leadership, nurturance that we're speaking of, curious about listening and authentic listening. So how, with all of that you are, with the courage that you be, with the passion that you have, with the adventurous spirit to be present to you and to listen and share who you are with the world in all new ways, what does listening authentically to yourself, what comes to mind? Like, how do you listen authentically to you? And then how do you listen with this energy of who you be? How do you listen to someone else in front of you, whether they're a client, but with all that energy you bring of the courage and the passion and the adventure? What does authentic listening look like for you? And how do you be that with other people?
I love that question. And the whole listening, authentic listening to self, to me, that's like the number one thing, most important practice for us as women, for me as a Megan, to choose every day. And there's so much noise and static and need and demands on our attention and our energies in this world. And so two of my practices, and I call it a practice because it really is like a practice. Like, I learned piano when I was a child. I hated practicing. I wanted to just be able to sit down and play and be great. I didn't have any appreciation for practicing. Like, it was boring and it sucked.
Totally.
And the perfectionist in me didn't understand the joy of play and learning and being messy. And the only way to actually master being able to play it was practicing, right? So for me, I call it a practice, though, because it's, after a lifetime of listening to other voices over our own, it's like cultivating that inner muscle of listening and letting it be a daily practice of, so I said practice, for me, it's journaling is a way where I'm listening. I'll often have, if there's been a dream that is, hi doggy. There's like a dream. I'll let that be my avenue in. And I'll be like, I'm listening, spirit, source, me. Like, I'm listening. Where are we going with this dream? Let's explore this. What's the messaging in here? Or dropping into, what's asking for my attention now? And what's here? And authentic listening can also look like, okay, so I said there were two practices, journaling and spending time in nature. Those are the places, the spaces, the times where I feel melted, open, and most easily connected to guidance, inner universal. So there's that. And I want to say one other thing about that. And then as far as listening to others, oh, so sweet. I have had times in my life where the guidance, where I wasn't listening to myself because I knew that what I was actually being shown was going to require me to make choices that would change everything. So like I was engaged and living with a man and having this business and feeling completely stuck and wondering why. I knew why. But I didn't want to acknowledge it until I got to the point of having physical symptoms, mysterious things, and finally was willing to like face, this isn't the path for me anymore. I thought it was, but it's not. So there's a way that we might find ourselves saying, my guidance isn't talking to me. Is that really true? Or are we just not wanting to see and listen to what that guidance is? So there was that, the listening authentically to ourselves. And as far as listening authentically to others, I mean, that's like a whole lifelong practice too, isn't it? Because it's like, what are they really saying? And like acknowledging our own awareness of like, I'm hearing the words and the energies and the nonverbals and I'm picking up a whole lot of information beyond just what's coming out of their mouth. And the more I'm listening authentically to me, the more I can actually listen and pick up on that and not pick it up as mine. And then there's also just like the freaking gentleness of like, for me, this has been a practice too, of like, let them be who they are. Like, they're not paying, like if it's not a
What are you talking about? What? Let them be who they are. But I'm the expert of being. There it is. Keep going now.
God.
There's lots in there.
Well,
yes.
The
gentleness of that.
For so long, and I still have these moments where it's like family members are like, I'm like a word slut, word geek. Like words are one of my superpowers. And I've learned in so many different modalities, coaching, therapy, access, like all these different tools and ways of being with people. So I'll have like friends or family come to me and it's not so much this way now, but I'll be like internally there's this, well, I'm not their coach and I'm not their facilitator. And I know they really just want to be heard, but don't they also want to like move through that and like not struggle with that anymore? So it's like that, like total like bullshit story that I'm buying of like, well, don't they want to be different? So then they wouldn't have to struggle that with anymore. And aren't they bringing it to me so that I can share like, my wisdom with them? Like, oh, so much crazy, right? And so it's like, let them be who they fucking are. And then ask, how can I support you with that? Or I hear you, that sounds really rough. And you're bringing it up to me. Is there something like, what, do you just want to be heard? Like that was one of my things is like a 2 on the Enneagram, interesting point of view of like the giver, like, well, I want to help you. I want to support you. So anyway, all that listening authentically, I would say bottom line it, let them be who they are. I don't need to change them.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to courage for me, of courage to give them space and to give yourself space. Like, I mean, Michelle and I've talked about this before you've named some really beautiful energies, like being authentic and then acknowledgement. And I think to acknowledge means we're seeing something. And it might be space. It might be space of discomfort. It might be whatever that we are aware of. And yeah, so really beautiful of like giving ourselves permission just to be space and not have to fill it with our regular mojo of how we typically are. And that I think also comes back to this feminine midwife leading me from within, like womb leading, womb leading, whom leading, womb leading, whom energy. And there's space.
I had to learn, because people would be like not wanting change, and my brain would always just be like I could not get it. I was like I was like, what? Why? What? I don't understand. Why do you want to suffer? And so, just there's, I think it's somebody has a thing called let them or whatever. And I was like, that's so brilliant, because, that was one of my lessons. It's just let them be, let them do, let them have their journey, however it is. Just because I can see something different doesn't mean that that's for them or that I'm right. So it's been glorious to have that freedom of just letting go of, what do you mean you don't want a different possibility? What do you mean that you just want to keep going down that destructive path?
Totally. And it's funny how there's that freedom for us as we're giving them that freedom for them to just let them.
I mean, and I'll even go as far as, who am I to say? Who am I?
Exactly. Exactly.
Who am I in your journey? Nobody's not my business.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, Megan, I'm curious how, just like walking in your own path and your own shoes, doing life your way, how you allow yourself to do that in a world where we kind of have to fit in, and then what that feels like for you in a world that we kind of have to fit in.
Funny, because I hear those words of where we kind of need to fit in, and where I go to with that is all the points of views that exist in like the coaching industry of like, the way to succeed is this. The way to succeed is this. So using your questions as catalysts, here's where I go to with that. And I was just having this, like, one of those, like, oh yes, this is where I am right now on my path, where I am. So first of all, about all the, you need to fit in, and the marketers saying you got to do it this way to be successful. Like, so much of that is bullshit, right? Because like, we got to find our way. And I've seen where we can make the mistake, though, when we say all of that is bullshit. It's more of like, these are all different kinds of possibilities. What works for you? And what do you know about this? Like, what way works for you? So it's not just saying, and I'm not dissing all the things. I'm dissing the point of view that there's one right way. Bullshit. I'm aware that I'm in this phase right now of bringing forth this, I call it a body of work, where it's new and it's messy and it's experimental, and it's going to demand of me to keep believing and being patient and being persistent, and be okay if I have like 4 women show up to this group, or 6 women show up to this conversation, or 2 women show up to this, or what, like, whatever, by other people's terms, that would be like small numbers, for growing something. And so that doesn't fit into what, someone would say someone looks like as successful when they're 50 and they've had a business for, 10 years and da da da. And so the courage comes up when I get to notice the ego that's like, God, this is, shouldn't this be embarrassing? Because you're like starting off with something and you're 50 and you have all this experience. And it's like, I'm more committed to being true to what is mine to bring forth in the world. And this reminds me of the little girl me who hated practicing at the piano. I'm getting to revisit that kind of thing and have fun in the practice, have fun in the messy, have fun in the, there might be a smaller group for this right now. Yet the only way to midwife this forward and allow it to grow in whatever ways it's going to grow is to be fucking notice the ego and not have that trip me up, and just be so true to like, it's more important to me that I'm delivering on what I said I would do in this lifetime than fitting into what 50 should look like or having a business after 10 years should look like. So, and that's what helps me, like, in some ways have the blinders on, not to limit my awareness and all of that, but more of like, yeah, they're doing that and they're doing that and they're doing that. This is mine. Stay in my lane.
Yeah, it makes me think when you're talking, it makes me think about Gary Vee, and I can just hear his voice. It's never too late. Start now. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 80.
I just saw him on a live on TikTok the other day, and he was talking to someone who was like 34, saying like, she should have it all figured out by now. Why is she still in this place? And he was having everyone put in their ages. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm 50 and I'm like starting off again in a way.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought I had it figured it out, and I did a whole lot of things. I feel really successful and accomplished with my life, and I'm starting over. I'm doing something totally different, so new. So it's just awesome to be in a world and a state of mind where it's possible to start over at 50 and to start from scratch at 50 and start a business at 50 and live your dream at 50, because that wasn't always the mentality. And that's why some of these ideas and thought processes haven't cleared all the way yet, is because we're still unwinding an old way of thinking. Women can't have babies after 25 or whatever. It's crazy. It's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
It's not true. Yeah. And it's so exciting and enlivening, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
whole new next chapter. What will this be? Yeah.
There's a piece in there that I just wanted to name when you were talking about really being like listening to what is true for you, what is your yes. And you talked about that a little bit in, what lesson do you want to be known for in the world? And you talked about that of saying, live your yes, and like have that courage to go in and listen to what that yes is.
Yeah.
And you're right, like it's going to be messy, and we get more confident and more sure in the sureness of ourselves when we try on those yeses in different ways. And there's a whole bunch of possibilities of how that yes might look. What might look like today might look really different for you tomorrow. So that you can start to prioritize those things that are key for you. And it sounds like that's the journey that you're on with you and with your clients. The other thing I wanted to name was this piece for me about like when we're living our yes, our soul knows this is true. And when we're not living our yes, when we're not in that alignment with this, like unapologetically, authentically living life that we are, our soul knows this. And I remember doing some work with Denise Lynn moons ago in her soul coaching certification programs. And like the soul knows the truth. The soul of you knows when you're lying to yourself or lying to someone else and trying to tell yourself that you're not lying. Like soul knows, so who and what am I committing to? And if I'm committing to my own nurturance of that authentic living of me, then am I willing to be honest with, like, perhaps it requires honesty on a soul level so that my authenticity can lead me to the land I've yet to be in, but I know is true for me on a soul level. And again, that's the willingness to have that courage to listen to myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, on those days where you lie to yourself, not you or you, but like when we lie to ourselves, our soul knows. And like if I want anyone to have my back, I want me to have I want my soul to go, I believe in her. She says what she does and she does what she means.
Yes.
No one might show up for this class. No one might like her in her little village. But her soul and her being are like, yes.
Yeah.
Curious. Thoughts of the day.
That's freaking like truth bomb wisdom. Like that to me is the most important relationship we'll ever have. And that kind of communion. And that's what lights me up. Like that's what gives me the fuel to do the things that are uncomfortable and that I might be afraid of, because it's like, remember what you committed to, remember what you said yes to. Like, I don't know if you know this about me, but I wrote a novel that's going to be published next year, and it's called The Forever Woman, and it's all about, you know, woman's discovery of this most important primary relationship. And like, that's what it's all about. Like showing up to that. And we've so perverted that into, I mean, I get we have agreements, yeah, just with other people in different ways, but that to me is just like us living that truth that yes is the most important. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you asked me a question about that, but I'm just sitting with the like, and I don't know why I told you about my novel. I think it's just because that was me when that, oh, thank you for this. That was me reminding me of like when I'm in that beginning stage now of this new body of work, like way back when I was getting glimmers of this novel and sitting down and writing these little scenes and getting to know these characters and like, who is this? What is this? What's going on? It was like that belief in self. Doesn't matter who else believes in you, as long as we believe in me. Says this piece of art up above my, up there. You can't really see it with the mermaids. It's that reminder of like, it may seem really weird right now, and you're just getting glimmers, and the soul just doesn't talk to us. And like, here's the whole big download, and here's what it's going to look like. It talks with us in the glimmers and so it's like following that and trusting that and having so much patience and so much courage just to stay with it and believe that there is something here. And whether it becomes a novel or a something, it's a journey I've got to go on.
I didn't know you wrote a novel, but that's really exciting because I know you as a writer. So that's congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
really cool. So I work with inner child healing, and a lot of people know about finding the trauma at a certain age and healing it. And I also believe there's another side. I believe that there's an age in our life that we knew that we were a badass, and how we do life as an adult, that badass shows up every day as that adult. So I always like to ask, if you knew what age you were, that you knew undeniably that you were just a badass in the world, how old were you?
3.
I love that. Tell me about your 3-year-old for a sec.
Well, I just love the way you described all of that and love knowing this about you. And I was told that I didn't start talking until I was 3. And then words became this thing that are like a gift of mine. And I just perceived this young me at that age, just aware of everything that was being communicated and not communicated. And like getting, oh, the words are saying this, but here's what else is going on. And being a badass at being able to see it all and know it all and just recognizing it for what it was.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And you
Yeah.
are such a wordsmith. So that's amazing that you just were gathering all that information, and then now, like in your adult life, you use words deliberately. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, yay for that 3-year-old.
Yeah, completely. Thank you for that question. Yeah.
So Megan, where
Yes.
and how do people in the world find you? I know your website's getting updated and switched around
Yes.
and amplified and energetic infused. So how do people reach out to you when they want to connect? And let us know a little bit about this amazing program you've got about living.
Yeah. Yeah. So my website, by the time this is out in the world, my website will be up and running again. So it's meganwalrod.com. And I'm creating this really powerful quiz. So it'll be on the website. You'll be able to check it out. That will help you identify. There's a lot of resonance, Michelle, with what you were just talking about in the archetypes. Like the quiz will help you identify which of the archetypes is your most hidden feminine archetype and how to unlock and activate her to access more of your power. So that's there. And the work, I'm calling the work that I'm doing now Brave Living Coaching. And so it's really, so I love that we've been talking so much about courage and, so it really is supporting women on this path of unapologetic living, brave living, living their yes, living a life that lights them up and supporting them using these archetypes to break free of the habits of doubt, people pleasing, perfectionism, not using our voice, all these things, breaking free of those habits and really engaging with these practices to cultivate that connection with ourselves, to cultivate that intuition, to express our voice, really say yes when we mean yes, no when we mean no, and like really be creating that life from the inside out. And so I'm just so in the process right now of exploring and midwifing. And so these are the ways, and there will be things, and I'm a big, one of the things I love doing with women is guiding them through. I do these brave writing, brave living journaling adventures, because my knowingness is that the braver we're willing to be on the page, the braver we're then able to be in our lives. And so helping women see the actual practical relevance of journaling and how it impacts your life, like that's a huge passion of mine. And I'm on, all the social, but TikTok, I'm having the most fun. So if you're listening to this and want to come engage in the circle of energy, the circle of light, we can come and play that way together.
And you're such an amazing energy in the world. Anyone who just wants to Google this amazing lady's name on the good old Google or on take a surf on the Safari, you can find this lovely lady. So, and also check the
We'll
links.
put the details down below as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It has been an absolute pleasure to unpack the unapologetic conversation here with you. And you're just a brilliant, radiant species. And I'm so grateful I got to meet you. And I can't wait to meet you again and again and again and see what other great adventures you get up to. And thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Megan. I'm so grateful that you said yes to coming on our show. And this was a fantastic conversation. And I'm excited for all the things you're launching in the world and getting to witness that. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome, both of you. And thank you. This has been so joyful for me. Like I feel fed by the nourishment of the questions and the conversation. And thank you for being in the flow and trusting the flow and for sharing these conversations with people. This is just, thank you. Been so rich for me.
Fantastic. You're welcome. So as you guys are listening, like this, share it. If this is pinging for you, reach out to any of us. And if you know of a friend who's looking for such authentic conversation, please share this with them. And we'll see you on the flip side. Love you lots, you guys. Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Yes, hands. Oh, look at us.